When you're ready, in front of the mat, or at least in the front half of the mat, little balance to start off. We're going to do our normal quad stretch, okay? So we're just going to bend the left knee, bring up that left foot. If you're struggling with balance here, totally welcome to put a hand on a wall or a chair or anything in between, or you can just look at something that doesn't move. While we're in this position, try to bring your knees to touch, or at least as close to each other as possible. After doing that, tuck your butt under just a little bit more. Like if you had a tail, you're tucking it between your legs, and then pull up on that left foot a little bit more. And if it's able for you, you can take your right hand to hold on to that left foot as well. If not, it doesn't matter. Just kind of gives you a little bit more. Staying here and breathing. What's nice about this movement is it kind of has three of the things we're looking for. So it's getting the quad, obviously, but then it also is giving us that pointer flexion of the ankle joint. And then it's also giving us a little bit of hip flexor as well. Good. Now you can stay here or put a slight bend in the right knee, the standing leg, and you can hinge at your hips to get a little bit more quad. Almost coming to a capital letter T. Good, and if you hinged, go ahead, hinge all the way back up. And go ahead, slowly release that left foot all the way down. Yes, okay, switch sides, same thing. Bring up that right foot, same rules apply. So we're bringing that right knee to touch the left, tucking our butt under, and then pulling up a little bit more. And if you grabbed with your right hand on the other side, grab with your left hand on this side. So both hands to the foot. And breathe. Hold here for a moment. Good. Now, either stay here or small bend in the standing leg, hinge at the hips, coming into that capital letter T. It does take a little bit of balance, especially if you're holding your foot with both hands. Breathe. Good. If you went into the hinge, go ahead, slowly hinge all the way back up. And then release, nice, slow, and controlled. Yes, okay, when you're ready, go ahead, inhale, swoop your arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, fold, small bend in the knees. Always, always, always when we fold, we have a small bend here. So let yourself hang just for a second. Really want to feel the hamstrings open up a little bit. So maybe sway forward onto your toes. A little bit more. Breathe. Good. We want to do a little back bend and hip opener next. So we're going to shoot that left foot back into a lunge position and then immediately drop the back knee down to the ground. When you're ready, inhale, swoop your arms all the way up overhead and really sink into this lunge. So we're bending into that right knee as much as possible. It's a little back bend, but if it's too much, just don't bend as far into that front knee. But we do want a little bit of a back bend. On your next inhale, reach a little taller. On your next exhale, bend your elbows, cactus your arms. Good. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, cactus. Little back bends, little hip opener. One more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, cactus. And then swoop your hands all the way down to frame that right foot. Yes, beautiful. Actually, let's go ahead and push ourselves back up into a standing position over that left knee. I want to practice this one as well. I hate this one. One of the moves, I'm just like, this is not comfortable. If you need to, grab onto something because there is quite a bit of balance. And if you need to as well, if you have any knee pain under your left knee, put a pad, a towel, blanket, anything, or you can just double over your mat here instead. But go ahead, find some balance, tuck your tailbone under, and then find your stability as you bring up that left foot. Okay, we're gonna grab that left foot with our hand, And if that's not accessible to you, you can stay with your foot on the ground, just with your butt tucked, and then add your left hand overhead and lean. So if you can't grab your foot, go for the leaning option instead. Still keeping your butt tucked so you're feeling that hip flexor and the quad as well. But if you can, grab the foot, bring the foot to your butt, and same as before, you can stay tall or you can bend into that right knee a little bit more. And breathe. Good. If you bent into that knee more, go ahead, find yourself in that tall stance again. And then slowly, with control, letting the left foot come down. Yes. Okay, now go ahead, hands frame the foot. Tuck the toes of the back foot, bring up the back knee. Inhale, proud chest. Exhale, step that back foot forward, fold. Good. Take a breath here. And when you're ready, inhale. Exhale, send the right foot back. Good. Drop the right knee down to the ground. And then on your next inhale, both arms come up towards the ceiling. Staying here for a couple breaths, really focusing on opening up that right hip flexor, getting a little baby back bend. And breathe. Good. If your low back is hurting at all, come out of the back bend and just stand nice and tall. But on your next inhale, arms come up higher. Exhale, cactus your arms. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, cactus. Good. Last one. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, cactus. And then swing your hands down by your side. Press yourself back so we're standing tall on that right foot or that right knee. Same as on the other side. If you need to put that pad or blanket or double over your mat to put it under your knee, go ahead and do so now. And either stay here, tuck the butt, and take that right arm overhead and lean, or bring up that right foot first. Hold on to it. Find your balance. Pull that heel as close to your butt as possible. And either stay here or hinge forward a little bit by bending into that left knee a little more. Oh, this is my back leg. And we've had some powder days recently. And this quad is, not loving this movement. When I say that, I just mean it's tight. Good. 3, 2, 1. If you bent forward, go ahead, slowly push yourself back to a standing, and then slowly release that right foot back to the ground. Beautiful. Go ahead, bring your hands down to frame that foot. Tuck the toes of the back and bring up the back knee. Inhale, proud chest. This time, exhale, press back into a downward facing dog. Pressing one heel to the ground and the other. Just for a second. We're not spending too much time here. Actually, let's go into a little baby back bend. So come forward into a high plank. And then let your hips continue to sag to the ground. Untuck your feet to your toes. Press the ground away. Look forward. Shake out your hips. Upward facing dog. And then drop your knees to the ground. Exhale as you press your hips back onto your heels. Child's pose. Beautiful. Now we're going to give our feet a little bit of time here in this plantar flexion. So we're going to slowly walk our hands all the way up, coming seating on your heels. Okay, so that peak move I was talking to you about, it's going to have a really intense version of this. So if this is uncomfortable for you, there will be options, but this is something that we need to work on. That way we can sit on our heels without issues. It gives us a little bit more mobility in our ankles while snowboarding as well. So sitting here, if you're like, oh, I could do this all day, then maybe come back onto your hands and lift your knees, giving yourself just a little bit more. If you're like, I am barely sitting on my heels right now, put a pad, a towel, a blanket, whatever, underneath, either between your heels and your butt or between the floor and your heels, your choice. Whichever option you choose, give it a second. I know it can be intense. Good. Beautiful. When you're ready, whichever option you're in, go ahead, slowly come out of it and come into a tabletop position. So hands and knees. Once you're in there, once you're in the hands and knees position, go ahead, roll out your ankles a little bit. One direction, then the other. Maybe flex and extend. Good. Get some life back into your ankles. And you can even throw a tantrum, is what we call them. So in this tabletop position, smack the tops of your feet on the yoga mat. If your feet are painful at all, or if your ankles are painful at all, this might not seem like a nice thing to do, but trust me, once your ankles feel good in this position, this feels so good. Good. And when you're ready, go ahead, find stillness with your feet. Bring your knees together. We're going to bring our feet out wide. Okay, trust the process, you guys. We're going to take our butt in between our heels. This is the peak pose. It's like the best thing ever for your quads and your hip flexors. I love it. That being said, if you're in this already and you're like, Sarah, no. My knees, no. Then grab a cushion or a pillow. A pillow is a great option. Put it underneath your bum so you're sitting higher and to just stay there. That's just step one, okay? So you can take on that or stay seated here, but on the ground, feet on either side, already feeling it a little bit in the quads. If you're like, I can go a little bit more, then we're gonna slowly come back onto our forearms. Good. And maybe you try this one out and you're like, nope, can't do it, never mind. Then you can always come back up. Doesn't matter, okay? We're all in different stages. If you're on your forearms and you're like, oh, I could do this, is there more? Then you can slowly release onto your back. And I like to grab each elbow overhead on the ground for a little bit more. This is like the ultimate, this is the only quad stretch I enjoy. It's ultimate quads, hip flexors, there is a baby back bend, and it's holy ankles. So breathing here for a moment. Good, guys. It doesn't matter which pose you're in. If you're still sitting tall with a pillow under your bum, perfect. We're all at different spots. But one day, you'll be here. Take a couple of breaths here. Close your eyes. If you feel like you're fighting the pose, like you're holding tension in it, maybe back off a little bit. Maybe go to the level before the position you're in. But breathe. Let your belly move. Good. If you're in the lying down position, bring your hands to your feet first and then dig your elbows into the ground. That's how you come up onto your elbows. And if you're here, replace your elbows with your hands. Come all the way up into a seated position. And if you're seated, let's go ahead and press yourself up into a tabletop position and do whatever you need to here. So if you need to slowly bring your ankles untucked because that really worked them. You can flex your ankles You can go into a downward dog if it feels good to you, or you can find a child's pose. But try to do whatever comes natural. Good. Beautiful. When you're ready, we're going to finish off with this low back release. So whichever position you're in, come back down to your knees, hands and knees, tabletop position, and then slowly lower your stomach all the way onto the mat. And you can let whichever ear you want to hang out on the mat, doesn't matter. From here, bend both knees and let your feet tick-tock from left to right a couple times. Breathing, releasing the low back, releasing the hips a little bit more.